Hello everyone, the case study I'll talk about today is Olive Garden restaurant. And here's the agenda of my whole presentation. I'll talk about the background of Olive Garden restaurant first, and based on the data provided, I'll frame 3 questions, and then analyze the questions with the data, and finally I'll come up with some conclusions based on the analysis. So, Olive Garden Restaurant is an American casual dining restaurant chain and provides Italian American cuisine. It's owned and operated by Darden Restaurant, and according to the Darden Restaurant report, the same-store sales of Olive Garden increased from 55 consecutive quarters in 2008. However, in 2009, the same-store sales declined, and the Olive Garden brand has had continuous erosion since then. So the goal of this case is to find out the drivers that can explain why some restaurant performs better than the others. Because when we think about the performance of restaurants, we always think about factors such as customer satisfaction, the quality of the food, their services. These are all internal factors, but based on the data provided, I found that there are some external factors that may also influence the performance of the restaurant, and after they analyze this conclusion can help the president of Darden to make decisions about the new location to build the restaurant, and also for the marketing team to help them target the right customers. So here are 3 questions I come up with. First, is sales revenue related to the number of competitors in the vicinity of Olive Garden? Second, whether different states have significant different sales revenue between year 2008 and 2013. Third is that whether demographic factors would influence the sales revenue of restaurants. Based on the data, I choose income score to be my dependent variables because I think the income score is the overall revenue performance of Olive Garden throughout the 6 years. So let's analyze the question 1 first. When we consider about competitors, we think the casual dining restaurants such as the Cheesecake Factory, P.F. Chang's, and Applebee's can be our competitors, but also the fast food companies such as Pizza Hut, Burger King, and Chipotle Mexican Grill, these are all can be our competitors. And when we do the competitive analysis, we always thought that whether the count of competitors in the vicinity would influence my company's performance, or whether the performance of my competitors would influence my performance. So I run a correlations between the income score and the count of competitors. And from the figure above, we can find that income score only has very weak positive relationship with the count of P.F. Chang's and the Cheesecake Factory, and it seems no correlations with counts of other competitors. So to confirm this point, I also run a linear regression model. The R square is 0.12, which is very small. means that the data doesn't fit the model well. But from the parameter estimate part, we can still see that P.F. Chang's and the Cheesecake Factory have a much higher estimate value than the other variables. And I think that's because both Cheesecake Factory and P.F. Chang's are casual dining restaurant, the same type of restaurant as Olive Garden. So it may infer the popularity of casual dining restaurant in this area, which resulting in the weak positive relationship with income score of Olive Garden. Then I run a correlation between income score and the performance index of competitors. And I found that it has a strong positive relationship with the performance of Cracker Barrel, but has a weak negative relationship with the performance of Buffalo Wild Wings. So it infers that bad performance of Cracker Barrel may result in bad performance of Olive Garden. However, the performance of other competitors doesn't have some connection with income score of Olive Garden. So from the analysis above, I found that the competition in this vicinity is not very fierce. Then let's come to question 2. To find whether geographic factors will influence the income score. First, I made the box plot based on the income score and find that the mean is negative 3.4 and 50% of restaurant has revenues varies from negative 146 to 97. Then I did K-means to categorize restaurant by income score. And from the cluster means, we can find that cluster 1 represents restaurants that has an above average performance, and class 2 is a restaurant that have best performance, and class 3 is the poor performance. Then I use contingency table to find the relationship between different states and clusters. And I find that states such as Massachusetts, Maryland, Nebraska, New Jersey, Oregon, and Virginia have the highest percentage of restaurants that have the best performance. Then I also did Pareto plot, and I find that Texas, Florida, Ohio, Indiana, Philadelphia, and Georgia all contributes to the revenue of Olive Garden. But Texas shows first in the Pareto plot because it has the most number of Olive Garden in that state. Same reason applies to Florida. But for those states, though their total income score is good, the percentage of restaurants that belongs to cluster 3 is relatively high. So when considering about choosing a new location for the restaurant, I highly recommend Olive Garden to consider states from Massachusetts, Maryland, Nebraska, New Jersey, Oregon, and Virginia. Here comes to question 3. I want to find whether demographic factors will influence the income score. I did an partition analysis first, and red represents cluster 1, green cluster 2, blue cluster 3. And from the picture below, we can find that when the total per capita income within past 12 months larger than 6,900. Most restaurants in those areas are in Cluster 1 and 2, which means that most restaurants have an above average level performance, especially when weighted median income score larger than 60.2. Almost all restaurants belong to Cluster 2 that has the best performance. However, when total per capita income smaller than 12,900 and the weighted median income score less than 31.6, most restaurants in the area belongs to Cluster 3 that has the worst performance. After analyzing all the three questions, here comes to the conclusion. First, when thinking about revenue performance, we always want to find out whether the number of competitors around Olive Garden has an impact on performance. However, the data shows that the number of competitors in the vicinity doesn't have much influence on Olive Garden's revenue. However, more casual dining restaurants nearby may have a little positive impact on sales revenue because it may imply that casual dining restaurants are welcomed in the area. Secondly, when considering expanding brand awareness and choosing new location, Olive Garden should mainly select states such as Massachusetts, Maryland, Nebraska, New Jersey, Oregon, and Virginia, because there are higher percentage of restaurants in those states that have the best performance. Besides, the total number of restaurants in those states is relatively low. So, if the marketing team pays more efforts in those areas to expand brand awareness, those states would have more potential to bring higher revenue for Olive Garden. Last but not least, because Olive Garden is a family-based casual dining restaurant, the household size, people's income level, and whether the household has children under 18 all become the factors that influence revenue performance. So when deciding our target customers, Olive Garden should focus on families with higher income level, larger family size, spending more time on the way to work, owning their own vehicles, and with children under 18. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you.